Coming up on the Deco Show, we look at DecoNetwork version 7.506, a brand new release. Erich shares his tips on digitizing for caps, and Mietek talks about products on sale. All that and more coming up on the Deco Show. The Deco Show is brought to you by DecoNetwork, business software for printers and embroiderers. To find out more, visit DecoNetwork.com. Good morning and welcome to the Deco Show, episode 13. I'm Brenden, Product Marketing Manager and Evangelist at DecoNetwork. And as always, I'm joined by our co-host, starting off with Mr. Mietek Velocity in Atlanta, Georgia. How are you, sir?
Hello, everyone. I'm doing good. We here in Atlanta, we're doing good, but you guys probably heard about all those things that are happening here in US. And so a little worried about folks in Texas and New Orleans.
Yeah,
it's not fun. Are
you guys getting any of that weather, your part of the woods?
Not so much. I think it's going in the other direction, fortunately.
Right.
That said, Lauren, who is in our client services team, she decided to visit her family in Texas last week. And guess what? She's stuck there because the airport is closed.
Yeah, well, on the hindsight, one of the lucky ones. There's been a lot of disaster down there. So wish everyone well if you're in that part of town and keep going safe.
Yeah, we're staying in touch, so she's doing fine. Everything is good. And she'll be back next week.
Very good. We need her on the front line. So, and always, we're also joined by Mr. Erich Campbell in New Mexico, Albuquerque, New Mexico, I should say.
Indeed. Happy to be here. Though I'd say also definitely have myself thinking about the people in Houston. I've got a lot of decorator friends out there, and so far most of them are doing all right. But there's a lot of people who lost everything. So if you feel like donating, it's a good time to donate, folks, because they really need help out there. But yeah, even in New Mexico, as far out as we are, it's been humid and stormy. So I mean I can't imagine the size of the weather system where that storm we even have humidity out here this far. That's kind of ridiculous. So it's something else. I really feel for the people down in Houston.
For sure, yeah. And they're now calling it the 1 in 500 year storm. It was the 1 in 100 year storm, and it's been cranked up as well. So I guess unless you're on the front line, you probably don't understand or appreciate the level of disaster happening down there. So yeah, for sure, donate.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, well, let's get into it. We're going to try to keep this one as a short one, and this is where Mietek shakes his head and giggles because it never works out like that. We'll do our very best. And we'll start off, as always, with a bit of an update on where we are in the DecoNetwork land. So we've just released version 7.5.06, which is our latest update. And as always, if you head over to our blog and scroll down to the news section, which is released updates, you'll see a link there that takes us off always to the latest update. And there is 7.506. And I want to go through some of these new improvements we've done on here. Of course, you can head over to the full release notes by making sure you click on this top link here, and that will take you through to our main help.deconetwork.com and give you all the juicy details, including the bug fixes, improvements, and things across the board. But on the blog, we just highlight some of the main improvements that come through as a part of this release. And skipping the first one because I want to come back to the end, but some of the main improvements we've got is we've added the SKU code variable to our worksheet template. If you're into editing our emails or PDF docs, you know that you can insert a whole bunch of different variables to either show the customer's name or the product name or things like that. And one of those requests was the ability to insert that SKU code. So that's now available as a variable that you can do on there, which is awesome. Another cool feature is we've added the ability to turn on capture in your checkout process. What that means is when someone goes through and checks out using an on-site payment method, like a manual payment or something like that, it can put a little capture in place, which just protects you against robots or spammers coming through and creating fake checkouts using external payment methods, which just becomes annoying to track down at the end and delete. That's a cool improvement. One for the embroidery world. the ability to show the proper color codes for the design and text and information on your worksheet as well. So as you know, before we had a bit of limitation in terms of having the color of your designs, so we've now got that on there as well. But one I did want to touch briefly on and show you a little bit on the back end is a screen print improvement we've done. So in the previous version of Deco, when a customer uploaded a design of a mascot, whatever it might be, it automatically matched the colors of that design to the color palette you've got set up on your DecoNetwork website, which is good for those who have a standard set of colors that they want people to always use. But of course, being screen print, a lot of people like to mix up the inks and build their own custom colors on the fly. So we now have that ability that you can turn on or off the ability to match a design to the colors in your palette, or let it pull the colors directly out of that original image as well and create new custom colors on the fly for your clients. And the way you do that is you jump over to your DecoNetwork website, click in on the admin side because it's a back-end feature that you need to set. And it's under your decoration processes. So select that on the left. Then go to screen printing, and it's a designer setting. It's a really simple setting. Scroll down to color management, and there's the ability to, first of all, track your colors, which is a feature we've had in the past. But now it's to limit the colors to your palette. So it's really like an opposite feature. With this ticked on, it will only allow you to use colors used in your color palette that you've created. With that turned off, it basically lets it use any colors. They can mix it up, they can create their own color on the fly, and it will also pull out the original colors from that bitmap as well. So, or vector file, of course. So simple feature and improvement, but certainly a good one for screen printers. It gives it a little bit of extra flexibility when building designs on the front end of your site. And of course, as always, that update is free and included as a part of your Deco subscription. And it's an automatic update, so you just have that now. If you log in, you get those new features. And of course, again, head over to deconetwork.com/blog and scroll up to the top till you find the release update section. And you'll be able to check that out and all the other previous updates we've done as a part of that as well. So I think a pretty cool feature on the board.
Oh, definitely. I especially like the addition of those embroidery color codes. I know people have wanted that for a long time. And so I'm glad to see that coming through, along with all the other great features for a point release. That's some good stuff. So that's great. Also glad to see you mentioning the blog, because I always want to talk about our content. We've really been a big content engine here as we've moved into making more educational and informational content for you guys out there in DecoNetwork land and as decorators in general. And the great thing is we just got through with our first big webinar based on that new content. And Brenden and I got to host a webinar on sports sponsorship recently, which I really appreciate all the people who showed up. The great thing, you all stayed through the whole time, so I'm assuming that you liked what you heard. But we put out some great information on how you can get started in sports sponsorship, and also how you can build from initial sponsorship of local teams up to something larger for your company, both inside and outside of the team sales kind of arena. So, you know, Brenden, how did you feel about the webinar?
Yeah, I thought it actually went really well. We've been kind of experimenting with a new format for the last few webinars we've done, being more of a conversational type webinar, and I like them myself personally. The webinars or sessions that I watch online, it's much better than just having kind of one person talking blank to a bunch of static slides coming through on screen. Makes it a little bit more dynamic, and also lets us bounce off each other with our kind of experiences and skills. But yeah, as you mentioned, you know, you often get about, what is it, like a 60, 70 kind of attendance rate, well, not attendance rate, but paying attention rate. So when when you're in a webinar, you get this rating of, are people looking at the screen or are they not? Are they Facebooking when they're meant to be learning? And we had pretty much across the board 99 to like 100% across the whole board, which was awesome.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
definitely. Honestly, what that excites me for is that that means everybody was listening, and hopefully that means you're going to be doing some better business in sports sponsorship. I think that's a field that though people know that it's out there and work in it, they don't work the field. They don't work that niche the way they could and expand their businesses. And I really think it's a great way to go. I was super impressed, honestly, with the examples you brought in from your history as a decorator too. I didn't know quite all of those examples, and I love the conversational way that we do things because it does bring a lot of that up. Some of that stuff that comes out there, guys, I mean, we have a skeleton behind these things, but it's live. And so the great thing is we discover new things as we're presenting, and that we're glad to give the information to you guys.
Just to add to it and give you guys kudos, I think the new format, the way how you guys introduce that, it's absolutely brilliant. And there is also a reason why not all of the webinars out there, I'm not talking about us, just in general, not all of them are like that. And that reason is very simple. If you don't feel comfortable with the topic, you gotta go by the script. And with you guys, we're talking about 40 years combined experience in the field. You can't replace that, but what that gives you is that comfort that you can jump in and discuss this and take some side comments, add some side comments on the fly. And this is amazing. This should be appreciated by everyone, and I believe it is. So thank you.
Thank you very much. You're far too kind. Thank you very much for the comment. I'm just happy when people find value in it. Though I have to admit, after you said 40 years experience, I felt a little old right there for a minute. I don't know if Brenden felt it too. 40 years. Okay.
Reminded about getting up at 5:30 in the morning makes me feel extra old. No. But that's true. For us, it's more than a job. This is what we do. It's what we've always done. We love it. That's why we're still here 40 years X plus added together down the track. Yeah, and it's a lot of fun. So thanks everyone for joining. Now, of course, if you did miss it, we are going to release that on our blog. So head over again to DecoNetwork.com/blog. There is actually a section there called webinars. So if you do scroll down, there is a, where are we? Yeah, down the bottom here. Here are the previous webinars we've done. And this is actually the promotional post talking about signing up for it. So a bit too late for that. But we'll update that with the link to the real deal. And while we're there as well, also mention there is an ebook related to that, which you can also get access from the ebook section of the blog. And there's the previous sport sponsorship ebook, which was basically the blueprint for the webinar. So it was a fun book that we put together. So Erich, Amber, and myself had a lot of fun doing that. And the webinar was our way of presenting that in a visual and hopefully entertaining way. So yeah.
Well, I'm hearing back so many good things about the ebooks. People love them. So I encourage anybody, if you haven't gotten over there, to check the ebooks out. I know it says ebook and that sounds like it's going to be something huge and long. It's actually condensed. It's a lot of information in a short space. You can skim it and get some really great information. So by all means, go over there. Like we keep saying, the blog is kind of like a content center now. It's so much more than a blog. So get over there, grab all that content because there's a lot there to learn.
So I just realized, guys, that we discussed the ebook and we discussed the webinar, but we actually didn't reveal anything what was in it. Do you guys have maybe a small teaser what you can find in it for the folks who are listening to it?
Yeah, sure. No problem. We'll just cut through to that and give you a bit of a teaser of what you can expect for the upcoming webinar.
But that's not all you can do with this. So let's say Jack's Printer has more vision than just that, more than just that sponsorship, and sees another opportunity. Well, there's 15 more people on that team, not just Jack. So we have to imagine every single one of them is going to receive a packaged garment that you've printed that has your logo on it. And that means each one of them, with all of their other constellations of things they do, might be another customer for you. So maybe you have a teacher, maybe you have a clerk at an office at some big utility. Maybe there's a waiter, a cleaner. So there's a restaurant, there's a cleaning service, there's a plumber, plumbing service, truck driver, there's someone who delivers packages, cashiers, retail stores, security guard, landscapers. Maybe they're members of another team in another season. So now you've got another team just directly in sports. These are all the people you might influence with what you do with the branding on those products.
Okay, so that was a quick update on that webinar where we were. And Erich, I guess if you've got an idea for a new webinar, where should people head to?
You know, I really like for us to have people engage on our social media channels. So, go to Facebook. That's a great place to engage with us if you want to send us new ideas for the webinar or questions you'd like to have us answer, either here on the Deco Show or anywhere in the kind of content chain we're building. Go over to facebook.com/DecoNetwork, and we're there to engage with you. Real live people are watching these streams and listening and answering you. And we're really eager to bring you the content you need. So please, ask any question you want. We're here.
For sure. And there's nothing better than doing a topic that people want to listen to and take part of. So, yep.
Totally.
For sure. All right, so next we're going to go through, I guess, some of our Deco network tips. And Mietek, if you don't mind, I might quickly throw over to you. You can start off with your tip, which is products on sale.
Perfectly fine with me. And as always, guys, a while ago I've made a promise to you that all of my tips are going to be short. And it's not going to be different this time. What I want to show you is something what you may call a workaround to a certain degree. However, I think it's very cool to do, and by using this functionality, you will be able to put your products on sale. In the second half of the year in US, it's full of the holidays. We have the Labor Day and Thanksgiving and so on. So that's probably a good idea to put some of your products on sale. And I just want to show you how you can do it with those few very simple steps. Okay, so the first thing you're gonna do is actually, before I want to show you how to do it, is I just want to show you what I want to accomplish. I have this product, Ladies Soft Start t-shirt, and I want to discount this product by 10%, and I want to see this discount on the home page. So everyone who's going to visit my website will be attracted to that discounted price. And for that to happen, the first thing I'm going to have to do is go to the volume discounts, and you will find this under products in the admin section of the site. And I'm just going to create a new discount. Okay, that discount by default, when it's created, it's not going to be used by any one of my products because it's not the default discount. And I'm going to name this product on sale. Next, 10% sounds about right to me, so I'm going to stick to 10% discount here. But I don't want this discount to kick in after 5 products are purchased or more. I just want to do it immediately. So I'm going to do more than 0, which basically is going to discount this product by default. And once this is done, I'm going to click Save. Now I have the discount, and as mentioned before, next I have to assign this discount to a specific product. And for that to happen, I will go back to the products page. And I'm going to use the first product, which is the Ladies Soft Style t-shirt. And here's the thing about the products. When you want to select this product, by design, the first you should redo it by using this drop down, because that's where you can click Edit Product. But there is really a shortcut. If you click on the product code or product name, that's going to take you to the same section, which is the product setup section. And then we're dealing with pricing. So naturally, I want to move from the general tab to the pricing tab. No loading. Everything is instant, as you can see. Not everyone does that. And then I go to the discount table, and I want to choose this product on sale. And I have a choice to actually apply this discount to the base price, but that doesn't really fit into what I'm doing right now. Instead, I just want to apply this to the total price for the product. Next,
just
I'm gonna
the base price, meaning the blank product without decoration.
Yes.
Cool.
Living and breathing DecoNetwork for the last 9 years, day and night, it kind of puts you into that assumption channel. I apologize for that, but obviously what Brenden said is correct. And once I've assigned this discount, I will go and take a look at the front end of my store. Okay, I will just refresh, and let's take a look at the outcome. So as you can see now, the price is no longer $44.52. It's going to be $40, and you can see this original price to be nicely crossed over. So that's in my opinion, that's awesome. And obviously, when you select the product, that's the same thing's going to happen as well. On the products page, all of the prices will be discounted. So the person who is shopping on your website will be able to see the discounted price. Not only the discounted price, but the fact alone that the price was discounted, which in my opinion is critical in that type of case. So what do you guys think?
I thought
No, that's
an awesome tip.
Yeah. I have to agree, especially the fact that it shows that price is discounted and it makes it visible. It's always a good thing when you make that original price visible so that you're selling on the original value of what your original garment price was. So that's awesome. It's a great tip.
Yeah. And I'll take that a step further, which is I always love playing with the tech side of things. You may have noticed when Mietek refreshed that page, it's got the from and the original price scrapped out and the new price in front of that. Oh, if I share my screen, it might help. It's got the original price grayed out, lined out, and the new price sitting next to it in the same style as the previous ones. This can be completely controlled by your CSS. So you can jump in with, Firefox, a Firebug, and come down and inspect that little part. And you can see it's got its own class with a class name RRP that has a unique color and even has a line through it as well. But if you want that to be different, you can make it, if you want red, you can make, the font weight to be, bold or something like that. Or hey, if you want, you can make the font size to be 30 pixels, whatever. Basically, you can go do whatever you want, dial that up, and really turn that into a marketing type field website. Yeah.
And quite frankly, to be honest with you guys, by default, that price is gonna be red. And the reason why you don't see it red is because Brenden likes to play with it a lot. So.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
Sorry, Eric.
Oh no, just laughing along with you playing with stuff because it's true. You're a tinkerer, but that's what makes you good at what you do.
Well, it's part of the power of Deco too. It's the fact that if you do like to tinker, you can get in and tweak with those things.
True.
We actually have a section on our support website with HTML snippets, so I might make an effort after this show to jump on and add that little snippet there and give you a few different layouts and examples on how you can do your on sale flyover, which is awesome tip. Thank you, Mietek.
Awesome.
So, Mr. Erich, you're famous for two things. You're famous for embroidery, and you're famous for your hats. And you've got a face today.
This is true. And honestly, this is born right out of Facebook. Honestly, we talked about, hey, come on, ask us questions on Facebook. The same thing's going on here. This is a question I've answered on Facebook about 3 or 4 times this last week. People would come on with a picture of a hat. And right now, I'm wearing a hat that's got, that's a low profile. We call them a dad hat these days. So you're not going to see this here. But when you're working with a constructed hat, a hat that's a higher profile, that has a stiff buckram lining inside, and the kind of hats I'm talking about, it has that stiff crown, the kinds of 6 panel that has a seam down the center. What you're going to find is that the closer you get to this area, the top seam where you start to go across the curve, there's this area I like to call the bubble. And the reason I call it that is because where those 2 panels come together at the seam and at the top where it starts to curve, it sticks up high above the needle plate. What that means is as it's running, when the presser foot comes down, you see a lot of deflection as the needle presser foot pushes down that crown of the cap. The problem with that happening is when you have multiple layers in the design, say you have an outline around some text, maybe you have just, really anything that's got an outline or something that has to register, as that pushes down, you're getting a lot of deflection and movement, and that deflection is going to cause things to come out of register all the time. So when you have that crown, you want to try and stay low on a hat like that. You want to go as low as you can, close to the brim as you can, and sometimes you're going to have to make designs smaller. If you go take a design from a left chest that's really tall, that's well above kind of that 58 millimeters, 2.5 or 2.25 inch height, that's safe on caps. If you go too far up into that crown, you're going to find that there's more and more distortion here in the center. A couple of the things you can do to combat it, besides keep making sure as an embroiderer to keep your design as close as you can to the bill, to the brim, and aside from having the size as small as you can, the other thing to do is make sure that you've got, especially on a 270-degree cap frame, the kind of cap frames that go all the way around, you want to have a full ring of stabilizer that goes back to the 2 bottom posts. That full ring of stabilizer, when it's clipped to the posts, gives you a solid base that you can tie into. And when you have that solid base of stabilizer inside of your cap as it's framed, also you want to make sure your teeth are lined up along the seam at the edge of the bill. If you have a cap frame, you know what I'm talking about. Those little teeth go right in that seam. And you want to do a little bit of underlay when you first start, especially say in the center of your cap, you have a logo, something where there's a filled area that you can work underneath. Run a little underlay, like a little tree, just under your design before you start, center it out. And what that's going to do is sew that crown down to that stabilizer, and that's going to make the design more stable in general as you run. So like I said, you're working on those hats where you've got that bubble, that crown that's up in that top of that curvature. You just want to make sure that you stay out of that curvature if you can. Keep the design low to the brim. Keep it small enough that you don't go up into that curvature. And go ahead, bottom up, center out in your sequencing, and underlay to tie it in first. So that's my tip for caps. I know it's a lot to digest. If you go to Facebook and get a hold of me to talk about it, I'll talk to you about the entire process. But it's something I see so often as people try and get larger and larger images that it's worth saying again.
Sounds like a blog post in the making, Mr. Erich.
And that's a hint that I'm going to write that blog post.
Marketing managers don't hint. That's just, yeah.
You got it, sir.
No, awesome tip. And you know, I guess what the moral of the story is: stay away from that black hole. Keep away from the horizon. You'll be terrified.
It's true.
Yeah. All right, thanks, Erich.
So how many times did you hear that question this week, Erich? How many times have you been asked for this question this week?
This particular question, literally, I think it was 3 times this week alone, and it happens all the time. Like I said, it's as caps get more and less popular. The other thing that happened when all these dad caps came around, they have very little structure in them. It's just fabric, and I had to teach everybody about stabilizer. Hence the whole mention of that stabilizer ring. Everybody likes to run with little swatches of stabilizer because they think it's cheaper. They don't want to use a lot of stabilizer, but there's no stability in this hat. The unstable, unstructured hats just need it. But like I said, it goes with, as the times go, as things become more popular and less popular, and as the seasons go, we're going to head up into the area where everybody's going to be talking about like knits and fleece, and then we'll start doing all the topics based on that shortly. So those questions just come up and over again. So as those structured hats get popular again, or as the season of whatever sport that uses them comes up, I'm sure I'll be answering that question a few more times.
Yeah, but we need those questions.
Absolutely.
So that's awesome.
Well, and there's always somebody new. And if somebody who's listening to this just had a light go off over their head where they understand how to do it, and we saved them some pain, that's the reason we're here.
Yep. So if any one of you guys want to say thank you to Erich on the YouTube channel, you can just like us, subscribe to us, do anything that will help us keep going.
Yeah, and share our content, because we want to get out in front of people and answer more of these questions. Believe it or not, we're really passionate about making sure you guys do the best business you can. So we're out here to help.
Yep, for sure. And again, as Erich said before, head over to facebook.com/DecoNetwork. Ask Erich, they're on the site, or ask any question. And if we can't answer that, there's 1,000 people out there we can get in touch with. And we try to bring them on as guests as a part of this show as well, and share that awesome knowledge with them. So thank you, sir. Awesome tip as always.
Thank you.
So my tip is, again, focused on Deco. And it's really around kind of getting your website set up in a way that you can understand who's using your website. And there's an awesome free tool out there called Google Analytics, which is, you know, simple, it's free, and again, it's awesome, which lets you track the visitors on your website. Sounds like a horrible word. It's all anonymous data, but it's just basically understanding how many people's on your website, what are they doing, what pages are they looking at. But probably the most important part of tracking or analyzing who's on your website is to find out why people leave. When they jump on your website, what page do they click through? And then what page do they leave your website on? And through that, you can answer a whole bunch of stuff. It might be that they go to your products page and they leave. That probably tells you your products may not be what people are looking for. Or they might start designing and hit checkout and exit on the payment page. Well, maybe you're not accepting a payment method that they like. Or they're exiting on your shipping page. Maybe you're not shipping to the area that they are. But it's just good to know that if you also make any changes to your website, are those changes positive, creating more traffic, or are they negative, which is making it harder for people to use your site? And you only know that by looking at the data, because people don't typically call you up and say, hey, I really loved your website, but I stopped on this page for this reason. They don't do that. You've got to find that out yourself. And that's where Google Analytics is an awesome tool that comes in as a part of that. Now, we're not going to go through the whole setup and configuration of that. But again, if you head over to our repository of knowledge, which is the DecoNetwork.com blog, so DecoNetwork.com/blog, there's a post currently up the top. Probably by the time you get around to watch and listen to this, it'll filter down the track, and you can always search for it up here in the search field. But Google have released a really awesome video, which again is about content sharing. You don't always have to create new content, but we've shared this awesome content from Google, which walks you through what is analytics, including down the part of actually setting up a new account, getting it configured, and set up ready to use. So we're not going to cover that. But what I am going to cover is that next part. Once you've set up your Google Analytics, how do you get that magical code, that magical tracking set up on your DecoNetwork website? Now, on a normal website, you have to go copy a bunch of JavaScript, get what's called your GA code or your Google Analytics code, and you have to paste that below the header and before the body section of your HTML, and already a whole bunch of people are freaking out because you're doing code editing, and people don't like that. You can make a simple mistake and bring your website down. So we tried to make it really simple in Deco by building that as a feature into DecoNetwork. And the way you do that, first you want to do is browse through to your DecoNetwork website and log in with an account that at least has web development capabilities or as the admin, and then we'll click through to the admin section. Now, analytics is on a site-by-site level. So this isn't a simple or a single code that you put in for all your websites. You set up a new tracking code for each one of your websites. So you might have your main website, brendanstees.com. You'd make a tracking code for that. And then maybe you've got an affiliate store which targets schoolwear or sportswear or soccerwear, whatever it might be. You'd make a brand new code for that. So make sure you don't use the same code across different websites. It's one-to-one, one code for one site. Once you've got that code, browse through to your websites, and you want to manage the website that you want to put that particular code on. But also remember, another way to get a quick access to your websites is under the View Store dropdown. And in this case, this is my main website demo, and I can click Manage next to that as well. That takes you through to the Manage section. And my PC needs some coffee, just like me. Chug, chug. Oh, try again. The power of live. In fact, I've just got my internet upgraded to what's called the NBN, which is finally in Australia, we're getting half decent internet. Mind you, still running down copper wires, but anyway, you can't always elect to make good decisions. So once you go through to your manage section, this is an SEO tool. So click on SEO tools, and there'll be a section in there called Google Analytics. Once you've set up your Google Analytics on Google Analytics, it gives you a code. It's a bunch of numbers and a bunch of letters. You want to copy that code, select on Google Analytics, and you basically just paste it in there. That's all you need to do. Once you save that away, on your website, we go through and we insert that special UA code that when people are browsing around and clicking on your products or browsing to quotes or clicking on more information, from that point onwards, everything is being tracked in terms of those users on your site. Again, all using anonymous data. You're not capturing phone numbers or email addresses or anything sensitive like that. It just basically says this user from this city and this location has been on your website for this length of time, browsed to these number of pages, done this certain stuff. And again, it's just another bit of information that you can use to make good decisions on whether your site's working, what you need to do, what you need to focus on, and whether any of your promotions are successful as well. So it's free, check it out, and that's a simple way to implement that on your DecoNetwork website. That's my tip for this show.
This is an awesome tip. One thing, if you really half serious about selling anything online, you gotta do it. There's just no way around this. You gotta do it. Not only do it, you actually have to check on this data on the daily basis, the least weekly basis. You can't ignore this. It's super important. If you don't make the sales, the only one reason why you don't make the sales is because you're not looking at this data. Because if you do, then I guarantee you will be able to see what's happening in your world, and you will know what type of decisions you have to make to increase your sales online. Also, Brenden mentioned the fact that you have to do it per website. It's very important to understand per website, not per page. One website may have 100 pages, and you just do it once. And just so happened that with our middle plan in DecoNetwork, you can have up to 500 stores. So each store may have 100 pages, and that's perfectly fine, but you just have to do it once. The reason why we're doing this is because if you're going to open this one store for this kindergarten or maybe some other niche that you're working with, you don't want to mix this data with something else that you do, because those are different targets, and you may have a different marketing strategy to address those people.
Yeah.
And that's, yeah, I'll put a period there.
The other thing I'll point out, which I've just completely forgotten in that micro 2 seconds where I was going to point that out. So live and a lack of coffee.
So one more thing, if you Brenden, can get back to that page when you add the Google Analytics, you may actually feel tempted to add the entire JavaScript into that field. Please don't. That's not necessary. That code is already there. All you're looking for is just that number. This is the identification number. And Google doesn't know that when you use your code, they don't know exactly what type of technology you use on your end. So they assume that you will have to add this code on every single page. Yep. But you don't have to do that with DecoNetwork, obviously, because we did it for you. And the reality about this entire code that Google is giving you, that the only part of that code that is different per user is that code along that identification number. So just look for that identification number and put it in there. That's all you have to do.
Yeah, for sure. And the pattern is pretty similar. It typically always starts with UA and a whole bunch of numbers afterwards. So yeah, just good point. Thank you for raising that. Just add that code only. And actually what I was going to say, which is backing on from what you said about just getting in and doing it. You may not be ready to analyze that data, or you may not feel like you understand enough about analytics to analyze that data or build your own reports or do anything like that. Number one, there is a billion resources out there on this. There's so many YouTube videos, so many blogs. I believe Google even have a free online course that you can do and walks you through and understand how to do this. But none of that matters if you don't have data. So if you decide to go learn it all and then turn it on your website, you're going to open up to a blank analytics report with no data inside of it. So at the very least, jump in, get your free code, add it to your Deco website, let it run in the background, collect that data. So come time when you're ready to jump in and analyze that, you've got a whole bunch of data there to do. Otherwise, you're reading a blank white page, and that's no good to anyone. So,
yep.
Yeah.
Well, as people always say in the business, what doesn't get measured doesn't get managed. Yep. So this is something to do. I mean, you want to measure it. Now, I've always been one of the people who says, make sure you're doing your offline work too. Just putting up a website, even with analytics, won't be all you have to do. You have to get out there and market. But once you have people to your site, once you have that attention, you need to know what they're doing.
Let me also tell you a secret. Once you start doing this, it is actually fun.